I was speaking with someone in our group guidance session the other day, and we were discussing how to be a better listener. He was asking me how to listen better. So one is the awareness of your ability to listen. Seeing that you may not be such a good listener is the first step. And out of this arises the desire to become a better listener. So how can one become a better listener? Well, by being present. Being present will naturally make you a better listener. Now, by being present, we can go one step further in terms of detailing this for you. Not only are you present, but you are going to be present and empty. It's really about being empty that makes you a good listener. You just simply remain empty. Empty like the space of the room. You allow the words to simply appear and disappear in you. It feels like the words are just flowing through you. Nothing is grasping. Now, this seems very simple, but it's a lot more difficult in practice, because what you'll notice is there's always thoughts that are arising in you. There's always questions that are arising in you. You may be listening to a presentation, someone teaching you something, your husband, your wife, your kids, and you'll see that there's a question that will arise. You'll see that there's going to be some sort of interpretation of what the other is saying. You'll see that you're starting to create your own story about what they are saying. So all of this is content. Now, instead of grasping or holding on to this content that's arising in you, you simply just remain empty. So you're not touching what appears to be content coming from the other person that's speaking to you. And you're not touching the content of what appears to be your own mind. You're just simply empty. Now, in other videos, I obviously point out that there's no difference between the words that I speak and the thoughts that are arising in the mind. The content is content. And you are the empty space in which the content is appearing in. Meditation helps with simply allowing any content to arise and fall, any content to appear and disappear without touching it. So like that, when you are simply listening to your partner speak or your kids speak or a presenter, or maybe you're at school or some spiritual teachings, if you can just simply remain empty, not touch the content, not wanting to hold on to the content, you'll notice that you are effortlessly listening. And it's a listening that you haven't done before. It's a listening that you haven't experienced before. It doesn't feel like you're simply listening with your ears. You're listening with your entire being. That your entire being is present. And it's empty. And the content is simply arising in it. And without touching the content, without wanting to hold on to it, grasp, play with it, you find that you're able to tune into where the words are actually arising out of. You're able to overlook what they're saying, or not overlook, but go beyond what they're saying and get to the essence of what they're saying. At first, when you experience this, it feels like you are really feeling where the words are coming from. Typically, when people talk about listening, it's always just about the sound. Yeah, I can hear what you're saying. I'm listening. But when you're present, there adds this deeper dimension to it, that you're feeling what they say. You're feeling those words, and even beyond that, you're feeling where the words are coming from. You're tuning into the source that the words are arising out of. Now, if you're very present, very empty, what you'll find is you can feel these words. You can feel the source of these words more so than the one that's actually speaking the words. You'll be able to tune into where these words are arising and extract the essence, really get to the essence of what they're saying. And it will feel like you understand them more than they understand themselves. Because that emptiness is the source of where these words are rising out of. So naturally, as you are just simply empty, you're able to tune into where the words are rising out of. And you find that there's actually not two. This is really this feeling of a deep connection with the one that you're listening to, even beyond connection, that you are simply one with them, that the one speaking is the one listening. And by remaining empty, not only are you going to understand the other better, but they will naturally feel like you understand them. It will be this nonverbal feeling that you really understand them, that you're really there, you're present, listening, that you're giving them your undivided attention. It's really this feeling that you're listening with your heart. Energetically, it doesn't feel like you're listening with your ears up here. It feels more energetically like you've dropped down into the body and you're listening with your heart. And the more empty you are, it doesn't even feel like it's your heart that's listening, like a physical heart in the body that's listening. It feels more like this empty space, like the space of the room that's surrounding all the content, that's embracing all the content, that's holding all the content in it. So it really feels like you're holding the other in that space. And this emptiness is not just this dry emptiness that your mind might be imagining. It's this empty, open, loving space that the other is being held in that love. That these words that they speak are not being judged or dismissed or rejected. They're simply allowed, accepted, embraced. You're allowing it to arise. You're not trying to push. You're not trying to resist. You're not fighting. It's just simply remaining empty. You'll find that you can have these deep conversations with family members or friends or strangers, and it will feel like you actually don't say too much. But there will be this reciprocal feeling that the other is understood and that you understand them. The other will just simply feel like you are there for them and that they have been heard. And in those conversations, you'll find that by remaining empty, you are giving them the greatest service. That there's nothing really that you could say to make things better, but just simply that emptiness, that you're empty of everything. Any expectation, any trying to prove your point, any sort of teaching, any sort of persuasion, direction. It's as if you just drop everything. You drop everything. Even the intention of just simply being good. Just empty of all pretenses, empty of your role and their role, empty of your identity and their identity. You just drop everything and just simply remain empty. And it will be an experience where it feels like they deepen from this experience as well as you deepen from the experience. It will always feel like your capacity to allow, accept, and love increases. It will always feel like your capacity to understand increases. You will actually start finding that in your life, you will be tested in a way that people will start sharing some very personal stories or some things that you've never even come across before, where you might have that reaction of, oh, that sounds weird, or that's scary, or you might want to push away or run from. You'll just feel like this, something gets stirred in you, a little bit of reactivity. But then you don't touch it, that will subside, and then you simply just continue remaining empty. You'll find that this empty, open, loving space that you can hold for the other actually becomes a transforming space. But again, not because you are trying to transform them. You're not coming from any sort of place of being special or important or magical or mystical, that you have something that they don't. You're empty of all of that. And they might not even notice it right away. It might sink in later, where they might just feel like it was good to speak about whatever they spoke about with you. because it was very personal, it was very private. But your presence, your emptiness felt so safe. See, everyone's full of their own projections, their own resistance, their own pretenses, stories. And it could feel very unsafe to someone, but meeting someone that's empty and present, where you're giving your undivided attention, and there's just total inclusion, patience. It's very rare. And what you'll find is spontaneously, the other will share a little bit more than they expected. It will feel like they're more of like an onion and they just go back another layer. That they were going to share something that was a little superficial, but then they felt so safe. They felt this welcoming, this warmness to the presence that they go a little deeper. And you could see it. You could feel it. You could feel like they just start opening up. That this deep presence, that you're deep within yourself, that you're not listening on a superficial level, but you're listening on the deepest level, the level of the core, the level of unity, where all is one. Naturally, they start deepening. And it's very healing for the other because they naturally dig deep within themselves and they are feeling a lot of the things that they don't want to feel. They're speaking about things that they don't really want to speak about, that they're always resisting. And by simply feeling that and talking about it, speaking, they're able to feel it, they're able to heal it. They feel like they're being seen. That you're giving them attention, that they're feeling loved. In a way, it's like an outer representation of your own feelings. The same way your feelings are suppressed, repressed, they've been pushed down, avoided, you're running from them, hiding from them, trying to escape them. By you just simply being present, remaining empty, then these feelings just kind of surface. They're like visitors. They feel welcome. They feel this warm invitation to show up. And when they're not met with any sort of resistance or rejection, they naturally feel included. So in the same way you include your own feelings, and it's as if you're hugging your feelings, you're transforming your feelings. These feelings just become you. You as what, though? Well, you as the loving, empty space in which they appear. So this is the transmutation of feelings or emotions. That you, very metaphorically, you hug, you embrace your feelings. You pull your feelings closer to you instead of running from them, instead of pushing them away. So like that, when you have family members or kids or strangers, employees, you'll find that just your empty presence people will naturally feel like you are embracing them, you are including them. The highest of this integration is that you are including them as yourself, that you're treating them just like your feelings. You're including them. It's as if they're just an outer representation of the feeling. The same feelings that you were resisting, that you were running from, well, there's a time that you turn towards that you make yourself available, give your feelings your undivided attention. And like that, your just openness, your availability, your presence, it's felt. It feels safe, it feels warm, it feels inviting. It feels like a place to be vulnerable, to open up, to share. And this is where a lot of deep healing happens. Without any force, without any effort. That the healing is effortless and it's very spontaneous. It's not planned. There's no agenda. And often it just comes from, circling back to the start, since we went off on a little adventure, is that place of listening. That you're just simply listening. You're not trying to get anything. You're not trying to give anything. You're just here, listening. So hopefully this helps. I'll see you in the next one.